The Dry Creek Line branches off the main line at...
Welcome. Behind me here is one of the reasons for one of Adelaide's earliest railway lines, the Dry Creek to Stockade line. It was built in 1857 to carry prisoner mine bluestone from the Stockade quarries behind me here to the city of Adelaide. We're going to take you for a walk along the line from Dry Creek to the Stockade quarry here and try and show you a bit of what remains of the line in 2022.
The The Dry Creek line branches off the main line at Dry Creek and passes through Cavan and Paraka and a bunch of sidings before making its way to Northfield, crossing Bryans Road to Stockade and the quarries beyond. Let's go exploring.
As usual, here I am again, chasing railway ghosts. Now I'm at Paraka. I've just crossed Main North Road. The old station is there, but it's all fenced off. The old sidings for the abattoirs are all fenced off, cyclone fenced off, so it's impossible to get to any of these places. What there is that you're able to get to, there's basically nothing remaining. So I'm just going to keep on walking here along this corridor that I showed you earlier as we head up towards the site of the former Northfield railway station and the place where the line crosses Bryans Road. Well, that's it, folks. Hope you enjoyed this little exploration along the old Dry Creek to Stockade line. I do plenty more railway history videos like these, amongst other subjects, so don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you want to see more videos like this, and also please hit the like button as well to let YouTube know that you did enjoy it, and I hope to see you in the next video. All right, that's enough of that then. Welcome to Good Chats, everybody. Thanks for coming on board. Welcome to Kingsley Purvis, all the way from WA. You're living in the past there, an hour and a half behind, I think. Welcome aboard, Andy Munro. Thanks for coming on board, mate. Hopefully I've got everything working. Audio on this OBS program, as you well know, by week 78 is still a diabolical issue. Evening, Steve. And thanks for checking in on the video as well. That video is done really well, but I think it's largely because of the images that I sourced more than anything else I did. Evening, Pete. Welcome aboard, Sir Donaldson. First bus out of the depot.
this week so far has been painful. Yeah, bloody work, man. Um, but first bus out of the depot this week, is that a turn of phrase or do you actually work with buses, man? Love to know. Let me know. Luke's Fishing, thanks for coming on board again. Lucky you, I get to see your fishing videos up in the Northern Territory there, and chuck a like in from time to time. And yeah, good old Elizabeth. It's also been one of my stomping grounds for many years as well. But looking at it through new eyes, with a new kind of mission, was really, really interesting. Mr. Andy Munro, thanks for coming on board again. And I just wanted to say that again because I noticed that you've been going through Forest Range and Lenswood and all those areas up there, and they're really beautiful areas. Those tight and winding roads and those little ovals that slope to the side and stuff. Paracombe's got one of them as well, a footy oval, cricket oval that has a hill on one side of it, and I always think that were kind of cool. Wait a while. Yeah, good one, Kingsley. Yep. I don't bring the old timber walkways. Okay, that's really interesting, Kingsley. Yeah, because that area has been redeveloped into something called Unity Park now, with a pond, and they're trying to wash away the traces of the history that was actually there. And I bet most people who visit the area now would have no idea that it was basically a carriage washing bay for an abattoir. Which wouldn't have been pretty, by the way. O'Malley, welcome aboard. Yes, Paraka. I was really interested. I'd actually never been in my entire life in Adelaide. I'd never actually been down the back of the prisons until about 6 months before I made that video, and I was just like, wow, this place has been here the whole time. What? Oh. Driving the first bus out at 4:50, which means you probably got to be up at what, like 10 to 4 or something like that. Ouch, man. Ouch. Welcome aboard, Shano Ace. Power to you, bro. And welcome aboard to all of the lurkers as well. In case you're wondering, you've made it this far and you're still wondering what this is basically, it's good chats. We just sort of get together and I present a few things about what I've been doing and the research I've been doing and the videos I've been making, and we all kind of share that experience as well. Because to be honest, as I always say, I learn more from you all than I think sometimes I probably give to you, and it's just an opportunity for us to have a forum, and it does have sometimes some rough structure to it. That's when I get the sound working. It's you come across these history groups who have worked really hard to preserve the history of what to most people is just really unimportant. And I think some of these, filling in these niches. This is what I'm so amazed by. Yeah, this footy oval niche that I think. I don't know how, but Andy and O'Malley in particular are two people chasing something that's really, really unique. And I think that's what's important these days. G'day, Tammin. Welcome aboard, dude. Thanks for coming back, man. Hope you've been well. Yeah, right. Yep, Dry Creek. And I found the hiking trails along there too, and all of that history down there. Oh, hello, Heather. Welcome aboard. You would well know the Dry Creek Trail down behind the prisons there with all the old historic buildings. And so I was just showing the video that I did down there of the railway line, which went all the way up to where that old walkway is. It's interesting rail history, and that's why I really enjoyed uncovering the history of the GMH Railway, right? So anyway, we'll get to what's actually happening later on in the video now too. Hopefully everyone's been really well this week, and let us know what you've been up to, and we might have a chat about that or offer some opinion or some advice, or if you've got any questions, let me know. I've got some photos, and I was just going to run through, I guess, an image slideshow of the photos that I got on the from the NRM that I put up in the video. I think I might have one or two extra, I'm not sure. So we'll do a slideshow about that.
I have a heaps of people live around Dry Creek. Dry Creek is a really I don't know. I think it's much more important. It runs through the center of Mawson Lakes. Otherwise, no, it used to be known as a giant swamp. So yeah, it's only true Adelaideans will know that history. That's for sure. Paraka is Aboriginal for Dry Creek. Right, cool. I've yeah. No, I won't say too much about the name Paraka. Put it that way. Pitchy Richie show and tell. So I stayed up in Wilmington last Friday night, and that was a strange Saturday where I got up bright and early, went around to Port Augusta, and started chasing the Afghan Express up into the Pitchy Richie Pass, and then things transpired. I'll tell you about that too when after we have a look at the video. I've got a couple of books of the week because I was down at the National Railway Museum again. Of course, I bought another book, and then we'll talk about some plans, and then we'll see where the chat takes us from there. So we'll get right into this slideshow. I've been working hard on setting up slideshows in OBS now, so we'll see how this is working. Oh no! Okay, let's do this. So I didn't even really realize when I started the research on this line how far the railway line actually went into the factory, and how it's carried a lot of industrial traffic as well as passengers. I just started thinking of it as being for passengers, and so yeah, the detail in the photos, it was interesting when I was down at the museum, and I just sort of said, okay, well, what have you got on the GMH Elizabeth railway line? I wasn't expecting much, but they had dozens of photos, all meticulously copied and metadata attached to them. The work is just meticulous, I think is the word I would use to describe it. So all of these images belong to various collections in them, so all of credit belongs to them. And yeah, it was kind of hard work, I guess, getting these images, but I think it's an important part of suburbia. And these images are just kind of residing on a computer somewhere, and I think this sort of stuff should be used more. And as someone who moved to Adelaide in 1987, I think all of this history is generally unknown to me. I think I have a distant memory of seeing a railway station down on Bridge Road there at Paraka. And I think I even saw a train at that station, which I thought was cool as a kid at the time. But that's the only memory I've got of all of these things. We talked about modeling references and stuff like that when I was talking to Andrew down at the NRM, and I don't profess to know the guy. We had some very good brief chats, but it was all really cool to see how all this stuff works. But yeah, the level of detail that these guys have gone to is just amazing, and it was a real privilege, I guess, for me to be able to get access to these. It's taken me, I'll be really honest, the first time, and this is no offense to the National Railway Museum, it's just the time it takes to build trust or something, I don't know. But yeah, I think it was 2 years ago that I started reaching out to the NRM, and now I've been a member for just over a year as well, so I think that might help. G'day Hunter, welcome aboard. And so we're just going through some extra photos here. Well, there you go. We've got some references for a Holden sighting for you. Okay, now we go to when I was actually down the NRM the other day, and I just took a few photos, and I don't want to be a complete train engine nerd or anything like that, but this is one of my favorite engines out there. Yes, O'Malley, the older photos show little to no rubbish, yes. And you would have seen just how much rubbish, yes, that there is these days. It's just a dumping ground, seriously. But the reason I like this locomotive so much is because it's massive, right, for a start. And it's got really cool typography on it. I just love this kind of
cut metal, and this particularly flowy font, which is just, I think it's completely custom font, so to speak. It's been built from some kind of plan, from some kind of writing or drawing, which I think is just amazing. Oh, look, and just for good measure, there's another view of the awesome nameplate on this engine. And again, this is me. I'm more interested in the branding and the visual design and stuff like that. And I've been past this thing a million times, but I looked at it this time and had the time and turned around, and I just thought, yeah, that is really cool. Like, I want to learn how to reproduce these typefaces, these fonts, these kind of things, and really evoke that sense of history with them. Because I'm a bit of a font nerd, and fonts and typefaces are probably boring to most people, but no, I really get into these, and I'd love to know the names of them. So here we are, just touring around, and I thought, well, coming up to some more research about the Dry Creek Explosives Tramway, and I found some good stuff on that. So I thought I'd take a few images of what was around there. And the signs in the National Railway Museum as well. Now, I would never just, write word for word for the signs, but having a record of the signs so I can go back to it over and over again before I go out and have a look at things, or perhaps I might be writing a script or something. And that note on the GMH railway line video, I don't know if anyone else picked it up, but if you're thinking my script sounded a little bit like ChatGPT compared to my normal scripts, then you'd be right. I did sort of put my original script into ChatGPT and said, write a video script. And of course, I completely changed it. But even just the process of doing that really changed my whole idea of what this AI is about, actually. So it returned it to me in a structure that actually even had shot suggestions and all this other kind of crazy stuff. And so it made me really, it did make me rethink what I was doing. I didn't want to just regurgitate ChatGPT, but it did give me some great ideas. Okay, so we're moving right along now. And then there's this mad explosives van up the front there of the National Railway Museum with a horse. Not really sure about the horse, but of course. And there's always this striking image down the middle of the main pavilion at the National Railway Museum. And when I'm down there, I'm always trying to explore ways of maybe getting more out of this kind of angle and more out of this kind of image. This is the kind of image that I like. So, yeah. Essington Lewis is linked to GMH, O'Malley said. How so? And this is why I love this channel as well, and this chat, right, is because I get the opportunity to learn a bit more about some of the things that I've just done. And so some of the reasons, no worries, Hunter. Shit, I forgot to turn that light on the whole time. And there's always something I forget. Any minute now, it's going to bloody fall off. That'd be interesting to learn a little bit more about how that's linked to GMH. I can't tell you off the top of my head if they still have a large model of the Overland Club car in the National Rail Museum. But certainly, next time I will find out. Yeah, certainly next time I'll find out. Just Googled it. Well, look at that. Look at you go. I will just have to Google it after then. It's too late to put it in the video. Oh, well. Oh, right, I get it. Yeah, okay. Ooh, okay. So maybe that's cool that I actually had was drawn to that metal plate that of the, because it was named, the train was named after the man too. So I didn't know the man had a link to the Holden factory or the Holden railway line. So actually, no, now I think about it, I think you're actually right. Yeah, Essington Lewis was linked to GMH. But yeah, funny, I didn't sort of make that link between that train and that guy at the time. So yeah, cheers for that. That's why we do the channel. Right, what's up next? Pitchy Richie Show and Tell. Okay, cool. Here we go. I drove up to Wilmington on Friday afternoon, and it was all a bit kind of rushed. It was all kind of a bit weird, really. It was kind of off the cuff, and ended up staying at the beautiful Valley Caravan Park up there at Wilmington, which I've done before, and then went and had dinner at the Wilmington pub, and that was pretty cool too. Drinking NT currency. Yeah, old red labels, bro. Okay, cool. Kingsley, definitely. Thank you for mentioning that, because I do tend to go down to the National Railway Museum. I won't say a lot, but more than your average person. So probably I'll definitely have a look out for that next time, man. Definitely, and I'll get some snaps of it. Yeah, what have I done? I've kind of gotten out of control here and gotten lazy, and just left this in that old mode. So Pitchy Richie show and tell was what I was going to do. So I started the day at Wilmington, went up through the Horrocks Pass. Was it the Horrocks Pass? Yes, the Horrocks Pass. That was pretty cool. And then I had a bit of a fly around the power station with the drone, and then went over to Port Augusta, got some breakfast, went down the station, and it sort of ended up turning into a bit of a chase of the Afghan Explorer through the morning. And I thought to myself, what am I doing? I don't really chase trains. And I'll tell you why after we figure out how to make this video work. So that should go over to there now, and I should transition that, and that should just start. Oh man, I think I was in Umali like a couple of months ago when I was doing a train explore out there towards heading out to Bordertown. Yeah, okay, so not long after that, right, I crashed my drone. And not in the way that you would expect either. So once the train had gone past there at Woolshed Flat, and I was planning to continue on to Quorn and maybe follow the train back to get some sunset footage, but after I packed up all the camera equipment, I left the drone and the controller on top of my car. And then I promptly drove off up the Pitchy Richie Pass. And it was only when I got to the next shot at Pitchy Richie that I stopped the car, I got out, and I went to grab for the drone and everything, and it wasn't there. And then I realized, obviously, what had happened about 5 kilometers back down the road. So I found both of the drone and the controller, and they were both completely smashed up. So yeah, that was the end of that day's drone filming. I did get a few more shots with my Pocket 2 ground camera, but yeah, that's was looking like a pretty expensive mistake at this point in time. And I'm droneless for a couple of weeks at least anyway. Yeah, there you go. I must be the only person to have actually broken their drone and their controller at the same bloody time. So yeah, hopefully, well, that's just life. You live, you learn. Probably never should have been putting anything on top of my car. That's never a good idea. When all of a sudden you're in a rush, and this is exactly why, and I was reminded of that is exactly why I don't chase trains, because yeah, that's dumb stuff tends to happen. So yeah, just try and take it easy. Book of the week. Now we're heading through to that point in time. Where are we at? 8:38. Wow. And so I was down at the port. Yeah, it was ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. But I have to laugh these days. That's what insurance is for, I guess. So we'll work it out. Yeah, and it just gives me, by the time I got home, right, and I looked at all the other narrative footage that I'd done some narrative footage while I was up there, and it was really just a bit of a reconnaissance mission just to get familiar with the area and learn a bit more about the way everything actually operates. Because it turns out that I can only make really authentic videos by actually going down and actually doing things there and hanging around. Because sometimes if I just breeze through an area and try and make a video that pretends to talk a bit about it in detail, then it just comes off as a bit fake. So that's okay. I'll go back up there again, and we'll do it all again. And all the narratives that I'd spoken to camera, they were just terrible. I really didn't know what I was talking about yet. I was giving it a go, but I really didn't know. So another couple of trips are called for before I can actually sort of really immerse myself in it. I changed my mind on the book of the week, right? I was going to do the one that I bought at the National Railway Museum the other day, but here's the one I borrowed from the Port Adelaide Library. And this is obviously called True Stories from My Life as a Railway Man, with Ray Jench. He was a South Australian railway man, obviously. And here he is with his hand on a French TGV train or something. This book, rather reassuringly, has Ray's signature in the front. I don't know if that's Ray's actual signature, but there you go. Yeah, it's full of stories similar to the Walter Jordan book, which I enjoyed a lot and got that railway story out of. But this is almost all railway stories. And we go from things like, starting with And Trains as a Boy, or The Day and the Times of the Dog Box. And he goes all the way through Working the Rail Car to Malang. So he's got stories in this book about driving the rail car to Malang, for example. A Dream Comes True at Cambrai. So this guy, as you read through his stories, he talks about living around the Murraylands a lot. He talks about, being a station master at Cook Plains. There's a lot of stories about Cook Plains in here as well, that he was a station master of, and they're actually really, really interesting. So this is like the memoirs of Ray Jench, right? Like diary entries or whatever. So, it's a very personal book as well. He talks about his wife and he talks about, his pastimes and all that kind of thing. So it's not a high and mighty sort of, reference book. He talks about, working the rail. Oh, I just opened to that, working the rail car to Malang. And so it starts like this, The other job on the 3-part roster at Strathalbyn was working the railcar to Malang, and I took my part in doing that job as a railcar porter during the time that I was relieving in that town. There was a resident railcar driver at Strathalbyn, and during my time there, that role was fulfilled by Bill Larkin, who lived with his wife in a house near the station. Authority to proceed to Malang was also provided by way of a train order from Train Control in Adelaide. With that document in hand, we would depart from Strathalbyn on one of the scheduled trips that often provided connections with the Bluebird railcar service that operated between Adelaide and Victor Harbour. There was never a lot of passengers to convey, and sometimes we trailed a small 4-wheel Louver-type DWF wagon that would be consigned to Malang, and we left the main Victor Harbour line at Sandergrove and then headed off east across the plains with the DWF wagon trailing on behind. So, that's the kind of stories, and that's available in your libraries. So, just get a library card, go on the internet, and book it to be delivered to your local library, and then you can borrow it for 2 weeks and have a read of it. How awesome is that? So we're getting to that point tonight where I'm trying to keep it snappy. Plans for the next week or so, I'm probably going to... that's right. This week I was going to take it easy, but then the Brinkworth, the History Festival is on this month, all through May in South Australia. And there's a Brinkworth talk and a walk on Sunday in Brinkworth, obviously, where they'll talk about the importance of that town as a railway junction. Magpie Creek Railway Junction, as it was known back then, but it had an outsized importance for its time. So I'm really interested in authentic things like that. I think the boss of the NRM, or I don't know what this title is. Sorry, I forget. Will be presenting and doing a talk there. So that's a great excuse to go for a Sunday drive out to Brinkworth and then have a look around there. I did do a video on the Snowtown to Brinkworth Railway, and that's why I'm interested to go a little bit deeper and find out a little bit more. Okay, so now I've got this whole new thing going on. I keep changing everything in my OBS, and that's my biggest problem, right? Is that I keep bloody changing everything. Okay, there we go. Brinkworth is, you keep going up from Blythe, so you go up through Mallala, Balaclava, that place, and then Blythe, and then Brinkworth, and then up to Gladstone. It's kind of the most direct way up to Gladstone, or it's just to the west over the hills from Clare, Brinkworth is. It's not very far from Clare, it's just up over the hill. I think it's at the Brinkworth Hall or something. You'll have to look it up on the South Australian History Festival, Brinkworth, and yeah, look it up there. I think it's the Hall, Community Hall or something like that. There's not much open I don't think there's really anything open in Brinkworth these days. It might be good if it was at the pub, but yeah, not sure about that. Yeah, the history of Dry Creek, I think there's a lot more to eke out there. I think a lot more went on there than we really know, because it was prisoner mined quarries. So all those giant holes there that were dug were dug by prisoners. And I'm sure there'd be some interesting dark stories, maybe a bit of both, maybe a bit of dark, maybe a bit of good stories. But yeah, and that walkway that heads out over the creek there, that's a guard tower. Not sure why that is the only thing that remains, but it remains, right? And that's a guard tower. The graffiti strewn building across the creek, if you look north, and you would be up in Walkley Heights by that point in time, was one of Adelaide's first ammunition stores. And then after that, for some time, it was actually R.M. Williams, the famous R.M. Williams, who has shops all over the world. That was his farm originally back in the day. I'm not sure. I don't think there's any ruins of some of his buildings, but that land holding there around that whole area was R.M. Williams' original land holding. Worked at Brinkworth for the SAR Works and Buildings Department in the 70s. There was probably a lot more going on in Brinkworth than there is now, that's for sure. Blythe and Brinkworth, Blythe in particular, yeah, is a very, very closed town compared to what it used to be, that's for sure. And the station, I think, is now mostly private property and hard to get into. So, at any rate, here we are. We've been in about half an hour now, and I want to thank everybody for coming on board again. Hopefully, I've been able to update you on what's been happening. Hopefully, I've given you guys some ideas. You guys always give me ideas as well. It'll be interesting to head back up to Brinkworth. I will try and get some contemporary footage for you as well, Kingsley, and see if I can present it here next week, just to keep you up to date with what's happening around Brinkworth. So thanks for coming on board, Kingsley. Thanks for being first too, man. A1. Andy Munro, thanks for coming on board early. I really do enjoy seeing your videos and watching how successful that's turning out on Insta and Facebook. That's really, really awesome. Steve, thanks for coming on board again, mate. Always a stalwart. Pete Donaldson, thank you for coming on board. Luke's Fishing, thanks as always, mate. Really appreciate you coming on board. Keep up the good bloody fishing work, mate. I'm mildly jealous. Tammin, thanks for coming back. Hope you're still awake, mate. I'll have to catch up sometime soon for lasagna.
O'Malley Tours 34 around the grounds, or around the grounds with Thurl as well on Facebook. Go check that stuff out. Thanks again, mate. Yeah, maybe one day we'll cross paths out there in the Mallee somewhere. Come hither with Heather. Thanks for coming on board again. Keep up the awesome work. Loving the work that you do on your thumbnails and stuff. Sometimes I do learn a bit from that. So thank you. Keep up the great work. Shana Ace, man, thanks for coming on board. Always great to have you on board. And yeah, and like I always get such great ideas like that Essington Lewis idea. That's just something that my brain wouldn't have connected unless unless you guys mentioned it. Hunter, thanks for coming on board, mate. As always, great to see you on board. We didn't have JK on board tonight. And somehow I probably managed to pull this stream off more than I do most other streams. So, yeah, but we missed you, JK, if you're watching the replay, and to everybody else who wasn't here tonight who's watching the replay. We're not always, on fire, but, sometimes we are. Thank you again. This has been Good Chats. We do this every Wednesday night at 8:15 p.m. until they shut it down, I guess. I have a lot of fun doing this. I hope you guys do too. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Cheers.